Okay, how we doing? Rich Van Tassel back with you, continuing on with our game picks for Week 9 of the NFL season, and of course, recording audio for Get Live Radio. The Denver Broncos 3-4, 0-3 on the road, travel to Philadelphia to play the Eagles, who are 7-1, 4-0 at home. Brock Osweiler is getting the start in this one for Trevor Siemian, who has been sent to the bench. Well, it's expected he would get the start. Philadelphia is preparing for Brock Osweiler. I'd be surprised if he doesn't. Injuries for the visiting Broncos: Emmanuel Sanders, wide receiver; Todd Davis, linebacker; Ron Leary, guard, are questionable. Donald Stevenson, offensive tackle, is out. For the Philadelphia Eagles, Jordan Hicks is an injury reserve out. Ronald Darby, cornerback; Zach Ertz, tight end, questionable. Let's see what Osweiler can do if he's able to, or if he's the one starting in this game for Trevor Siemian. It should certainly ignite that Denver offense, which has been stuttering a bit of late. They're going to need it. They're going to have it. Philadelphia is going to score points. I expect Denver's defense to shut Philadelphia down somewhat. They have a pretty good secondary with Aqib Talib to shut down that wide receiver core of the Philadelphia Eagles, but the Eagles will still score points. Carson Wentz is playing too well in this situation. They just added Jay Ajayi as well. Let's see how much time he gets running the ball behind LeGarrette Blount, who is over 4.5 yards per carry, playing very well. 100 carries exactly and over 450 yards. Very good. C.J. Anderson quietly putting together a nice year running the ball for the Denver Broncos as well. I'd like to see how much they're going to rely on him, what the offensive changes will be with Osweiler in the game. If they decide to go downfield more, get Demaryius Thomas involved. He's been playing pretty well, does not have a touchdown. So we'll see. It's going to be interesting to keep an eye on what Denver's offense is coming into this game, because of the switch at quarterback, which is expected. All in all, though, Philadelphia is still too strong in this one. I like 28-24. Denver will give them run, but at the end of the day, the Philadelphia Eagles are coming away with the victory. The Atlanta Falcons, 4-3, 3-1 on the road, travel to Carolina to play the Panthers, who are 5-3, 1-2 at home. Big division game. Injuries for the visiting Falcons: Jordan Tripp, linebacker, is an injury reserve, out. Duke Riley, another linebacker, is out. For the Carolina Panthers, Damiere Byrd, wide receiver, is an injury reserve, out. Ryan Khalil, center; John Theus, offensive tackle, are both out. Fozzie Whitaker, running back; Trey Turner, guard, questionable. So we see some injuries to the Carolina offensive line. Khalil, who's a very good center, is out. He's not playing. Trey Turner, another guard, is questionable. I expect questionables to go, but of course John Theus, a tackle, is out. So that's going to be a situation where it would certainly hinder Carolina running the ball as far as the running backs. Cam Newton will run the ball himself, and I expect he's going to do the same thing. Atlanta's defense is pretty underrated, especially in the running game, so look for them to shut down Jonathan Stewart and put a lot on Cam Newton in this game. Cam Newton has to keep his turnovers down. That secondary for Atlanta has not got the turnovers I would have expected, had not been getting the interceptions. You would expect a lot more Dan Quinn trying to institute the style he had in Seattle with the Legion of Boom. It's an interesting game here on the road in Carolina for Atlanta. Atlanta had sputtered a bit. They had lost 3 straight, finally got the win last week. A sloppy win in bad weather against the Jets. Can they carry that over in this game against the Panthers? I think they will. I think the Panthers' offense has been too inconsistent at times. Atlanta is going to start to get rolling again. They're going to test the corners of Bradbury and Worley for the Carolina Panthers, and Julio Jones will have another big game. I know we've been saying this all week, or all season long, that is, that he's finally going to break out and start getting in the end zone more. I would expect it to be this one. I like the Atlanta Falcons 31-20 over the Carolina Panthers. Another interesting game: the Cincinnati Bengals, 3-4, 1-2 on the road, travel to Jacksonville to play the Jaguars, who are 4-3, 1-2 at home. Injuries for the visiting Cincinnati Bengals: Tyler Boyd, wide receiver; Kevin Minter, linebacker, are out. Randy Bullock, the kicker; Michael Johnson, defensive end, questionable. For the Jacksonville Jaguars, Calvin Pryor III, a safety, is an injury reserve, out, as well as Dede Westbrook, a wide receiver. The rest are questionable: Marquise Lee, wide receiver; A.J. Cann, guard; Cam Robinson, offensive tackle. Jacksonville, of course, they're a hit-or-miss team. You never really know what you're going to get. They have been a bit more consistent at times this year. Blake Bortles has limited his interceptions. He's had a couple games where he's thrown more than you would have liked to see. He's fumbled at times, but all in all, he's keeping the ball under control. Doesn't have necessarily the yardage you might like to see, but still would probably go over 3,000 yards, probably be right around 3,200. He's just shy of 1,400 right now through 7 games. You would expect he's probably going to get about 150 to 200 at least in this game. Cincinnati does have a decent secondary, so they're going to put pressure on him. Some ball hawks back there like a Pac-Man Jones, Adam Jones as he goes by now. So let's keep an eye on that. The defensive line, can they limit Leonard Fournette, who's really started to come along? 130 carries, 596 yards, very good, 6 touchdowns. He's really peaking right now. So that is going to be a test for both Leonard Fournette going against a good Cincinnati defensive line and the Cincinnati defensive line going against a strong Leonard Fournette. I think that's going to be a key matchup in this game. Of course, Cincinnati's offense has to continue to roll. They've gotten going of late. A.J. Green has really picked it up in these last couple weeks, and Cincinnati trying to crawl out of that hole that they dug themselves with the 0-3 start. They'll need a win against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Look, as we've said all season with the Jacksonville Jaguars, you don't know which team you're going to get. I think Cincinnati, a veteran team, is going to go down there and get the victory against the Jacksonville Jaguars and at least keep their season going for now. I like a close, relatively high-scoring game, 31-28, potential overtime game in this one, but Cincinnati comes away with the victory. The Indianapolis Colts, 2-6, 0-4 on the road, travel to Houston to play the Texans, who are 3-4, 2-2 at home. Injuries for the visiting Colts. Anthony Costanzo, offensive tackle, questionable. The rest are out. John Simon, linebacker. Quincy Wilson, cornerback. Matt Jones, running back. And Vontae Davis, another cornerback. For the Houston Texans, of course, Deshaun Watson tore his ACL. We'll just make a quick note on that right now. That's, of course, a killer injury for the Houston Texans. They're going to likely turn to Tom Savage in this situation. You're losing a lot with Watson, who's playing very well. He's really ignited that offense. So that's going to be serious, and let's see what Houston can do with the backup quarterback. C.J. Fedorowicz, a tight end, is an injury reserve out. Dylan Cole, linebacker, Joel Heath, defensive end, are both out, and Jonathan Joseph, cornerback, questionable. So Houston at 3-4, they are really struggling with injuries. Of course, now they lose Deshaun Watson. They've already lost J.J. Watt, Whitney Merciless on the defensive side of the ball. Houston should be better than 3-4 with that defense. I know they've had some injuries, but finally figuring out the quarterback play as they had prior to Deshaun Watson now being out for the rest of the season. It's just surprising that they're 3-4. They have had a tough schedule. It should soften up here with Indianapolis, who is 2-6. They are really struggling. Their defense with the injuries. Even in the AFC South, there's no way Andrew Luck can save this team at this point, and I don't expect him to go in this one either. If Indianapolis was able to get the win, potentially they go 6-2 in their final 8, 8-8 might be able to get you there. They would need this one, but even with the injury to Deshaun Watson, I expect a lot of wind out of the sail of the Houston Texans. Tom Savage should be able to do enough. You're missing 2 cornerbacks for the Indianapolis Colts. Houston has to find a way to get this victory and just look past the injury because Deshaun Watson, as difficult as it is to deal with, he is not coming back this season. So I like 28-14. The Houston Texans over the Indianapolis Colts. All right, we will be back in just a little bit to finish up with our game picks for Week 9 of the NFL season. Be sure to stay tuned. Thank you.